Okay guys, welcome to the daily analysis for today. It is Tuesday, January 8th, and it's about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is typically right about the time I do the daily analysis. Before I get into the charts, guys, I wanted to remind you all to follow me on Twitter because I was mentioning it yesterday, but then I accidentally gave you a bad link, so you couldn't follow me. So my apologies for that. But basically, my plug about Twitter was that I wanted to give you guys access so that I could post maybe some of the live trades that I'm actually taking, because I know that I've had feedback like, hey, we know what analysis you're giving, but we don't actually know what trades you're really taking. And so Twitter would give me a great way to actually post some of the trades that I'm deciding to execute and give you guys an opportunity to follow those. I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to post every single trade that I take because, quite frankly, I'll probably forget. But I will try to stay up to date and be posting trades, and that way it'll give you guys an opportunity to follow the actual trades that I'm taking. Okay, so I have a real link that actually works below this video. Hit that and make sure that you do follow me on Twitter. And if you don't have Twitter, in my opinion, it's definitely worth opening a Twitter account. Obviously, it's free because there's a lot of great Forex information and stuff going around on Twitter. So I'd encourage you to open a Twitter account and then follow me if you don't have one. Another great thing about Twitter is that you guys can just give me some feedback on what you want. For instance, Amit, excuse me if I'm not pronouncing your name right, but just tweeted me a little bit ago and said, hey, can you cover the Euro Yen in today's analysis? So because of that tweet, I'm going to cover the Euro Yen, even though I wasn't planning on it. And so that's just another great resource to get in contact with me on Twitter. So I encourage you to do that. Follow me on Twitter. And while you're at it, please retweet the analysis as well. Okay, so that's my plug about Twitter. Let's move on and actually talk about some trading. Alright guys, and similar to today, not a lot of major news tomorrow. Again, the one actually main timed event that you want to look for is the 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time Australian building approvals announcement. Other than that, there's really not any major red tagged events that should shake up the market, which again means that most of these technical signals should be even higher probability than usual because you don't have the idea of news announcements interfering with the movement of the market. Okay, so really a positive thing in my opinion, and something I think we can take advantage of. Okay, so that's your news. Let's go ahead and cover our terms real quick, and then we'll get back into the charts. Alright guys, and the terms basically say, as you probably already know, that we're not licensed or registered to provide investment advice. We haven't gone through any agency to get a license to give you analysis. This is just our opinions, and it's for educational purposes, and that's all it is. Okay, so if you need to further understand that, please read through these terms and make sure that you understand them, and we will get over into our analysis now. Alright guys, so I wanted to start off with the Euro Pound. As you know, this is a trade that I've been talking about for a little while. When we got this original tail off this trend line, this is the one that I suggested might have a good bounce. And there has been some fall through. What you'll notice today is that the fall through, slowed down, a little bit of lagging. Yesterday we had a big bearish move, but a strong reversal with this pin bar, which to me is a great signal. That just shows that the momentum has continued despite the fact that price tried to get pushed back down. The euro is definitely the stronger currency here, and we ended up with the tail bar pushing prices higher. So from that, what I was really hoping was that today was going to be a great bullish engulfing bar coming all the way up to 82 or something just in today's bar, and unfortunately we didn't. We got very slow movement throughout the day. We actually did start off with a few decent hourly bars, but since then a very slow movement, and you can see that now we're kind of in line with some other major resistance here, which is a little scary if you're long on the Euro Pound like me. And so this is one that could struggle for really quite some time. Hopefully it won't. Hopefully tomorrow will break right through these levels and push toward that 82.50 area. But really there's no reason that this can't struggle. I mean, you can look at the last time this level was tested. It was a 4 or 5 day channel in here before it finally did break toward that 82.50 area, and so hopefully we won't have to deal with that. But I just want to let you know, guys, if you're looking for more continuation on the Euro Pound, I think it's definitely possible, and if you're, if you got it at a lower price like I did and you're in a good position, you can afford to be patient, which is exactly what I'm going to be. But be careful with these levels and make sure that you're aware of them, because price could definitely struggle, if not reverse, for another test of this trend line in the near future. Okay, so keep in mind the levels that we're dealing with here on the Euro Pound. The next pair I want to look at is the euro yen. As I mentioned, I wanted to take a look at this as per request. And there's a few things to note on the euro yen right off the bat. Obviously, the extreme uptrend that all the yen pairs are in. You know, we had this reversal. It started basically in August is when this reversal really started. You know, at first it wasn't quite as steep of a movement, and then we actually got some consolidation. You know, some good moving back and forth. And then the real steep move started basically in the middle of November, where we took off kind of like a rocket ship move right to the upside, and even steepening a little bit later on in December, as you probably know. So what that leaves us with, you know, this move with some consolidation, steepening, it leaves us with a lot of bullish momentum, even breaking through one of the major levels that I had plotted out here that I thought price would really struggle a lot more than it did at 111. Really broke right through there. You know, a few days of sitting near that level, but breaking right through. And so now we're at 115, which is probably somewhat of a psychological level, but not really a major resistance area. There's definitely some price points that have touched here, but not a major area. And so for one reason or another, we're starting to get some pretty tight consolidation, you know, channeling at this area. You can see that the bars are not necessarily small bars. They're actually, you know, relatively sizable moves, but just back and forth chopping, as we can see here. So let me zoom into this chart a little more. All right, this gives us a little better look at the euro yen on the daily. So a few things that I want to note here. Number one, we definitely have a base that is built at the bottom. You can see that, you know, it's been about 6-7 bars in a row that have definitely built a base where we have a low basically at 114. And so a break toward the downside here could mean, you know, bearish continuation to our next major level, or lower, but that to me is not a really confident break, because that could just be a little bit, you know, a little bit longer pullback before an immediate reversal toward higher prices. So as far as the bear side, you know, I just think there's too much bullish momentum here to fight with. I would not be interested in taking reversal setups. That's just me. It's not to say that there couldn't be a great reversal to take advantage of. Now, one thing as far as trade possibilities that I would look for on the euro yen is that if this continues to shape here, you know, has a little bit of time left, we could definitely develop, you know, an ascending wedge in the middle of this upward move, which is a pretty common pattern that we see. You know, steep bearishness, a wedge begins to form as it has here, and then a strong continuation of the bullish, you know, momentum from earlier in the year, earlier in the month, or earlier in the week, depending on, you know, the time frame that we're looking at. So that is a very real possibility, and for those of you who are watching the euro yen, that's something I definitely pay attention to. I draw the potential wedge here. You can see that's starting to form. Obviously, not enough testing points yet, but definitely starting to form here. And if price continues to tighten up, and you get a strong break to the upside, that could be a good continuation sign of bullishness and the continuation of the yen weakness in the market. And as for me, the euro yen would probably one of my favorite yen to take advantage of if the yen is going to continue to be weak. You know, I like the euro strength possibilities better than the US dollar or the New Zealand or the Swiss or pretty much anything else because the euro has been so consistent as of late, and again is beating that pound in that consistent euro pound uptrend, which gives me a lot more confidence in the euro. Okay, so the euro yen, as Amit mentioned, is a great pair to look at if you're planning on taking advantage of this yen continued weakness, and this is a shape that I would definitely draw in your chart and look to see the potential of this playing out. I'll try to remember to check back on the euro yen in future analysis and see if this continues to shape up. Again, right now we don't have a full consolidation into a wedge. It's just kind of halfway there. So we need a little bit more before this really turns into a legitimate trade setup, but it certainly seems like it could be shaping into that as we speak. Alright, so that's the euro yen. Definitely some bullish potential with all the movement behind it. Don't want to count out the continuation of yen weakness as a major possibility in the market. And while we're talking about the euro, I want to continue and talk about the euro dollar. You know, this level here is one that I've been mentioning a lot. It's at that 131 area. And even though we had great moves off this trend line, I love these two tail bars pushing off this trend line, I was definitely worried about price action coming right into the zone. And so right now we do have that stalling action. Definitely not a reversal breaking and 150 pip reversal move off the level. Certainly not that. Just a small stall bar and definitely potential for more bullish continuation through this area. But I just want to call your attention to this level. And if you're looking for euro dollar longs, perhaps continuing this bullish channel, which we see here, I certainly think that's a very feasible play. But I'd probably wait until we got a break of this level, perhaps even a retest at the top, and a continuation from there before you're looking at continuation of the bullishness, because you never know how long these levels are going to hold, and quite frankly, you don't want to waste your your risk by holding a trade that's just going to bounce around a level. It's not worth risking your money when that can happen. Another important point about being careful when you're trading these levels is about the time factor. The longer a trade develops, the longer it's open without heading toward the area that you want, typically the lower probability you have of that trade working out. And actually, Chris, who's a new writer on our Winner's Edge team, just recently wrote an article about the effects of time in your trading, something that most people do not write about. You don't get a lot of information on. But Chris just wrote a great article on that. So if you're interested about what I'm talking about here with the time factor of your trading, make sure you check out that article. I'll also link below to that article. So now I'm linking to my Twitter and then also to that article. So click that, check that out if you're interested in this time development idea, because it's a pretty interesting take on trading and something that Chris dives into that you don't hear a lot about. So I'd encourage you to check that out. Okay, next I want to look at the pound, which is in a pretty similar situation to the euro that we just looked at. You can see sitting right on this trend line with some push bars, just like the euro was. Now, again, the pound's slightly weaker than the euro, so the pullback on today's bar is a little longer than the bar on the euro, but still a pretty nice bullish potential here. You can see, obviously, we have this big wedge, and I'll just kind of draw the boundaries here. This big wedge that is still shaping up as the pound continues to rise against the dollar here, heading up towards this major resistance area at 163. If I scroll back, you can actually see another major point that it was tested here. So 163, a pretty big level, kind of suctioning price back into it on a regular basis. You can see the tails are also sitting right on our 61 fib level of this recent swing. It corresponds to these tail bars here and even some more support areas in the past. So this could be a nice little level for price to bounce off of, head back through these levels and get up toward 163 again. Certainly a pretty high probability move, I'd say, if we get some bullish continuation there. So that's definitely something to check out on the pound. I think that we could see a bullish move any day here with that trend line support and also those other support areas kind of clustered in. Okay, next I want to look at my ugliest chart. You can see that the odd dollar is still just doing weird things in this wedge. We had this break and the retest here. I thought for sure we'd see some strong movements of continuation, but it's just sitting there. It's not really doing anything, just sitting at this long-term downward trend line and waiting to make a move. So I don't want to waste a lot of time here. I just think that until the odd dollar starts making its mind up about where it really wants to go, we need to focus on other pairs. But I just didn't want to leave that out because I know that we've been watching it on a pretty regular basis. But as for me, I'm going to be focusing on other pairs and waiting for the odd to make a strong move before continuing taking any trades on it. A pair that we haven't looked at in a few days is the pound New Zealand. I quit looking at it once it got caught up in this channel here, which also corresponded with this major channel here. Really just an ugly area for price on the pound New Zealand. But as you can see, there was an incredibly strong bearish break of that level, heading all the way back down toward a weekly trend line, which of course means that we could have some great buy opportunities again off of this trend line. So if price comes back, tests this range, we can look for some bounce trades. Now, of course, we still do have this major cluster of price, which you can draw your lines a lot of different ways here, but you can see that kind of no matter how you draw it, anywhere in this price zone is a pretty ugly area where price is not making a lot of great moves. So unfortunately, the pound New Zealand does not look to have as much profit potential as it usually does. A lot of times when you get a bounce on the pound New Zealand, it can go 1,500, 2,000 pips without really a blink of an eye. But with all this ugly movement here, there's a little less profit potential, because if you're taking buys, you probably don't want to target much higher than the bottom of this zone, unfortunately. So hopefully, it won't be long until we either get a bust lower and we can actually look to shorts where there won't be a cluster in our way, or we can get a break fully through all the way up above 2 again, and maybe look for some longs or some breaks back down. But either way, when price is running in toward this 195 to 197.50 zone, it's difficult to pick your profit targets and difficult to hold on to the trade. So keep an eye on pound New Zealand. A break to the downside, through that 190 area, would be a great break and a great opportunity for continued shorts. Something I would certainly be looking forward to trading. And speaking of zones that you don't want to trade in, the USD CAD's still sitting here. I mean, this thing is amazing, just sitting, doing nothing each time it comes to this trend line. We had the same thing here. All these small bars didn't do anything. Finally, we got a break up, and it pulled right back down and is now doing the same thing. So the USD CAD also in a range that I simply don't want to mess with. Hopefully we'll get a breakdown, head down toward 97, perhaps let this 96.30 area be a great target for a short. Or on the flip side, we'll get a move through these fib levels and finally sit up, get back toward parity, and look for some trades there. But as of now, it's sitting right between like 98.90 and 99.10. There's just not a trade opportunity, unfortunately. And that's one of the things we have to remember as traders. Even on pairs that we think there's a lot of potential in and that we look forward to trading, if there's not good price action, if there's not good liquidity and good movement, just got to hold the reins back, be patient, look for some other potential pairs, but keep ourselves disciplined and follow, and follow our plan until something lines up that's in accordance with our plan. And certainly for me right now, the USD CAD does not line up with any trading plan I have, and it's unlikely with what it's doing that it's lining up with almost anyone's trading plan, because there's just not a lot of movement there. Alright guys, and I will finish up with the Euro odd today. Again, another trend line that's certainly in play, that we're looking to see if we can get some continuation toward higher highs on. And I'll make the note again that the one thing I worry about on the Euro odd is that our most recent high was obviously lower than the high before. So at this point, rather than an upward channel that's making higher highs, we're actually starting to form this triangle where price could be actually consolidating, which is very unfortunate really when you're looking for nice big moves. You want the price to constantly be flowing in a continuation motion in one direction or the other. For me, I really don't care if the Euro odd were to be bullish or bearish, but I would like it to move one or the other rather than continue to consolidate, get into tighter prices. So this could be an area where we have an opportunity for a strong bullish break where it actually does make a higher high, and then I would kind of be relieved and be glad that we're actually moving toward higher highs, because that always speaks more movement than if it were to continue to consolidate, and price action to get tighter. For me, that's one of the things that really eliminates my trading opportunities. If price is not constantly making newer highs or newer lows, or at least having a really large range, my trading opportunities are very limited because I want high profit potential. I want there to be some pips for me to work with. And obviously when price really consolidates and tightens up, there's not very many pips to work with. So the odd is one, the Euro odd that is one that I'm definitely watching for, hoping for some higher highs or even a break to the downside. Again, either one to get continued movement. The Euro odd is really a great pair for movement. It really moves in nice strides. So it'd be a shame if it bottled up and didn't do anything. So we'll see how this trend line reacts. We'll see if we get any continuation. And really the main thing I'm looking for is if we get continuation, will it break through this kind of slightly bearish movement that we started in the last two highs. It's not a major level. It hasn't been tested a lot, so a break is certainly not improbable. And if it does, then we'll be talking about some really nice bullish continuation setups and things like that on the Euro odd. Okay, so that's my analysis for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I certainly hope it was helpful for you. Again, do follow me on Twitter, and don't hesitate to retweet this article and share it on Facebook. One of the things that we really want to focus on here at Winner's Edge, in 2013, is using social media to our advantage. We think that social media is a great way to connect with people and help people at a whole new level. And so in order to do that more effectively, we really appreciate when you guys share things on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all of those outlets. That really means a lot. Okay, so please do that, and also be sure to check out Chris's article that I've linked to below as well. Thanks, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.